Hello everyone, I'm notfallerr or fallerr. You might know me for Duomino or Gemhouse, but I've been a game developer for about 6 years now, and I thought I'd look at the new Splatoon Raiders trailer that just dropped from my perspective as a game developer for this long. Hope you enjoy. Alright, so Splatoon Raiders. First of all, what I want to bring up is this was yesterday, and this was 10 months ago, June 10th. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because this is what it looks like then, and this is what it looks like now. There's like minimal differences. I know this is a cutscene, maybe I can get a better example. Like there are minimal differences. The lighting is definitely more intense and defined. The lighting here is a bit more, bright, unfinished, and dull. But when I first saw this trailer, to me it looked fairly finished. But my question is, if it was this unfinished, where it would take 10 months to get to this, why did they show it so early? Because I feel like it would have been a better strategy to show this maybe 3-5 months prior to this one. And I feel like that would make a lot more sense. Okay, here's the next thing. Some game footage captured in engine, actual gameplay experience might vary. So when they say engine, I think it's just so interesting for me, because what engine do they use? And likely they have their own engine that they develop themselves, obviously for more control over optimization, and they just know it in and out. I know a lot of studios do that, right? But some studios just go for Unreal Engine or Unity, or usually indie projects, Godot or Unity. But a lot of big studios use Unreal Engine 5. I think I heard about 6 coming out soon. I'm not really sure. I still use Unreal Engine 4 because I just don't really need to use anything above it. They probably have their own engine, but we just don't really know what that is. And I think it's interesting because they don't really show a lot of their process. Some studios Hoyoverse, that not intentionally, but they show okay, right here. I despise making foliage. So usually the way that Splatoon's trees work is they basically just have a flat plane, or not flat in this case, but a curved plane in this case, and then it has a single texture that is just a leaf, and then you can control it with the bones I talked about earlier. They're called, well, in Blender they're called armatures. I know they're called some different things in other software, but yeah, you can use the armatures or the bones to control how they move around. And if you look closely, obviously you can see the trees flapping around in the wind. And yeah, that's just how they do that, I believe. Sometimes it is physics controlled, but you usually can't avoid using bones for that. Oh yeah, more on the texture actually. Since it's not actually 3D, the way they do that is, if you've watched other 3D modeling stuff or game development stuff, you definitely know about normal maps. People just don't let you hear the end of them. But yeah, normal maps are basically, they're an image texture that tells the lighting engine how light should reflect off the texture, and that's how you can achieve that 3D look without it actually being 3D. And it's really good for optimization, especially in a game like this. And here's that flat plane thing again. Actually, you can see these aren't emitting shadows, and that's because they're literally just textures, usually set to translucent rendering, which makes them able to be transparent. These are just textures on the floor. I can tell as well, because it's kind of pixelated. Even at this quality, I'm at 1080, but still, you can see everything around has much more detail, much more refined. They're kind of pixelated, and it's because translucent rendering, it only takes into account 0 opacity and 1 opacity, so fully transparent and not transparent at all, right? And that's why it looks like that. And I think the ink might actually do that too, but I know in an interview they said It's like actual geometry. It's not a texture anymore like it was in the first 2 games. But yeah, that's how they achieve this foliage, and that's why it kind of looks weird. So I've gotten my hands on a few Splatoon models. I don't have them anymore because I changed PCs and I didn't bring them over. But the way that they do static lighting, so lighting that doesn't move, for example, like if there's a pole on a map, then that pole would emit a shadow, and the shadow would never change because the pole's not moving. There's something called a light map, which is like a normal map, except it tells the lighting engine where to put the shadows, right? And it's much faster than live lighting, aka your GPU doing a bunch of math literally every frame to see where each shadow should be every frame. And it's better because your GPU isn't doing any calculations, because all of it is pre-calculated. And that only works for static shadows. So if you look down here, you can see the shadow of the mech while it's drilling. Since the mech is spinning, aka moving, you can see the shadows moving with it, right? Along with all the debris that come out of it, right? That is live lighting. So yeah, live lighting is your GPU doing calculation to accurately simulate light on each object, and light maps are pre-calculated shadows that make it much more efficient to render where the shadows are. Another thing, these ropes have no shadows, and that's probably because of the light map. The light map just doesn't have those there because the light map it's fixed. Like it's not going to change based on anything in the game. When they created the light map, I guess those ropes weren't there, or they just like excluded them from the light map. Oh yeah, and another example of the live shadows. This is on Shiver, of course, as you can see. Like you can see like everything from above her body is going on to her legs, and like she's emitting a shadow onto the ground and even onto this crate here. That's an example of live shadow, because Shiver is not always going to be here. So if you put that on the light map, then it would just not, it wouldn't make any sense, because where are those shadows coming from? The light map mixed with the live lighting is the most ideal scenario, because if you have everything on live lighting, you're going to be sacrificing a lot of performance. Okay, these waterfalls are not real. This is a texture panning downwards, maybe with a bit of randomization using noise, but this waterfall is not real. I know that for a fact because it's also in the background, and things in the background usually get less effort put into them, but they just need to look believable from a distance. Oh, and also these stickers on the ground are also just a flat plane. These are just a flat plane with a transparent texture put on it, and it is also translucent. I know that for sure, because again, no shadows, and also you can see that the opacity is only 0 or 1. You can see because there's like no fall off. It's just a sharp corner right there. Okay, I thought I should give an example. Okay, here. I thought I'd give an example of that flat plane thing I was talking about. This isn't flat, obviously, but here. This is not actually part of the texture. It is individual. And the reason I did that is because I was just too lazy to put it on the actual texture. But I think it's an example. It's just slightly moved off of the target mesh to the point where it's unnoticeable to the naked eye, and then it looks like it's slapped on there. Another reason for this is because you might want to have something like this, but you want to have less vertices on it. Okay, I promise this is the last time I'll talk about the flat plane thing, but I believe this is also called anti-aliasing. So the thing is, this texture is not actually very high quality. So what anti-aliasing will do is it's going to try and smoothen out those edges between the pixels on the texture. And like up close it looks really bad, as you can see here. But from afar, it looks better than if you were to have just the pixelated texture. Unless it's a pixel art game. But yeah, if it's a pixel art game, you definitely want to turn that off. But yeah, that's all I really found that was interesting. There's definitely more I wanted to talk about, but I just thought this was a good amount to have in the video. So yeah, the game looks fun. I'll definitely try it out. And Nintendo hire me. Okay, goodbye.